Hi, I'm Chef Sabrina Tinsley, and today I'd like to share a recipe that I tried at Trattoria Le Sorelle Picchi in Parma quite a while ago. It's called Tortelli ai Carciofi. This is a stuffed pasta with artichokes. To make this very special recipe, we're going to need our artichoke filling, recipe included. So go ahead and follow that recipe. Also, the pasta dough, recipe included. Follow that recipe and have those two ingredients ready. In addition, for our sauce, quote unquote, we're going to toss the pasta with butter, so unsalted butter. We'll have some sage leaves and Parmigiano. In terms of equipment, you're going to need a pasta roller, pasta machine, or a rolling pin if you don't have a pasta machine. We'll need a sheet tray lined with parchment paper. We'll need a fork and a spoon, a ravioli cutter, or if you don't have a ravioli cutter, you can also just use a knife. And we'll need a bench scraper or a knife to cut your dough. Also helpful is to have a wooden cutting board to cut your pasta on. So we're going to start. This dough has been sitting for about 30 minutes. We're going to start by cutting off a piece of that dough. And again, if you don't have a bench scraper, you can use a knife. We'll just work with a small piece of dough at a time. We'll go ahead and wrap the rest of the dough and keep that moist so it doesn't dry out while we work with the first piece. Okay, so we're going to flatten out our dough, dust it with a little bit of flour, and then with our pasta machine at the widest setting, which for this machine, it's a 0, we're going to go ahead and feed the pasta dough through. From here, we're going to tri-fold our pasta and send it through again at the widest setting. And do that one more time. So we've got a tri-fold and send it through the pasta machine. So at this point, we'll have a nice rectangular sheet of dough. It's going to be quite thick. I'm going to dust that with just a little bit of flour. And then we're going to start making it thinner and thinner. So I'm going to go one notch at a time on my pasta machine and then just roll that through once. And then one notch. Roll it through. One notch. And roll it through. So the dough is really nice today, but sometimes it can get a little sticky. So if that happens, just dust it with a little flour so it doesn't stick to the rollers. And then just continue to roll through, one notch at a time. Okay, so now my dough is nice and thin. And as you can see, it's a very, very long piece of dough. So this is actually perfect. This is the second to last setting on my pasta machine. So I'm gonna just go ahead and cut that in half so it's easier to work with. I don't have a very long work surface. And just kind of lay those out flat. So to make proper tortelli from Parma, we're going to have a pretty narrow strip. So it's not very wide at all. And we're going to go ahead and start filling the pasta. So we take a scoop of the filling and just kind of plop that down in the lower third of your pasta dough. Okay. And then from here, we're just going to fold the dough over onto the tortelli filling. So essentially, we're going to have cuts on 3 sides and a fold on 1 side. And these are proper tortelli. When you go to Parma, this is how they'll look. And at La Spiga, we call them tortelli because Pietro's mother is actually from Parma. And so she always called them tortelli, even though She cut them on 4 sides. So to demonstrate what I'm talking about, I'll go ahead and trim here on either side. And then I'm going to trim along the pinched edge and then just cut to separate. Let me separate those. Okay. And then we have our tortelli, beautiful pillows of joy, cut on 3 sides and then a fold on the other. We're going to layer those neatly on a sheet tray lined with parchment. And from here, you can either cook them within an hour or so, or you can freeze them for later use. Now that the pasta is ready, I've actually frozen mine. So as you can see, I can stack it. It's not going to stick together. So I'm going to go ahead. I have my water boiling, salted boiling water. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in my pasta. So even from frozen, this pasta should only take about 4 to 5 minutes to cook. And you're going to want to turn it under regularly to make sure it's cooking evenly. On the side, I have about 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and I've chiffonade my sage. So that's about 10 leaves of sage, and that's ready to go. I'm going to add a little bit of the hot pasta water to the butter to start it melting. I don't want to melt it fully because then it won't stay creamy. It could separate a lot easier. So just get it started with a little bit of salted water. So the pasta's been cooking for about 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and strain that out. I can tell it's perfectly ready. Turn off my water and add that to the pan. Okay, so now that I have the pasta with the butter, I'm going to go ahead and turn up the heat just to low. Actually, I don't want to really cook it. Just want to melt the butter just a little bit and give it a toss. It's already thickened up quite a bit. And then I'm going to turn it off and further thicken it up with a little bit of Parmigiano, which is a very integral part of the sauce. Give that a little toss. If you can't toss it, that's fine. You can also just stir it with your spatula. There, now the sauce is nice and thick and creamy. And I'm going to go ahead and plate up 1 portion. Beautiful. And you can sprinkle with a little Parmigiano if you want as a garnish.